The silent, rhythmic clack of a weaver's loom, the whisper of a brush on parchment, the wet slap of clay on a potter's wheel. For millennia, these were the sounds of creation. They are the echoes of human history, the tangible proof of our innate drive to make, to shape, to leave a mark. For many, these ancient crafts exist in a glass case, beautiful relics of a bygone era made obsolete by the relentless march of progress. But that perception is fundamentally wrong. Far from being obsolete, these foundational artistic practices are experiencing a profound, almost revolutionary resurgence. They are not being replaced, they are being reinterpreted, their core principles acting as the rich, fertile soil from which entirely new forms of digital art are growing. This isn't a battle between the old and the new. It's a synthesis, a conversation across centuries where the wisdom of the hand is informing the logic of the algorithm. Let's begin with one of the most fundamental human arts, calligraphy. At its heart, calligraphy is not just about writing, it's the art of the line. It's about balance, rhythm, negative space, and the kinetic energy captured in a single fluid stroke. Every curve of a letter in a medieval manuscript was the result of immense physical training, a deep understanding of pressure and release. Now, consider the world of digital typography and graphic design. A designer sitting with a stylus and a tablet might seem a world away from a monk in a scriptorium, but the guiding principles are identical. The foundational knowledge of a calligrapher, understanding the thicks and thins of a stroke, the elegant flow of a serif, the perfect spacing, or kerning between letters, is precisely what separates a mediocre font from a masterpiece of digital design. The software provides the tools, but the ancient craft provides the soul. Digital brushes in programs like Procreate or Photoshop can now simulate the drag of ink on paper, the spread of bristles, and the effect of pressure with astonishing accuracy. This allows digital artists to tap into that same kinetic energy, creating logos, lettering, and digital paintings that feel organic, human, and alive, all because they are built on a framework of rules perfected over thousands of years. The ancient craft isn't gone. Its DNA has been sequenced and uploaded. The same story unfolds in 3 dimensions. Think of ancient pottery. A Grecian amphora or a Ming Dynasty vase is not just a container. It's a perfect study in form, silhouette, and volume. The potters who created these pieces had an intuitive, almost sublime understanding of proportion, often without any formal mathematical training. Their hands and eyes knew what was right. Today, a 3D artist building a world for a video game or creating a character for an animated film is grappling with the very same concepts. They might be manipulating polygons on a screen instead of clay on a wheel, but the goal is the same: to create a form that is believable, aesthetically pleasing, and communicates a specific feeling or function. Many digital sculptors in programs like ZBrush or Blender will deliberately study historical pottery and sculpture. They do this not simply to copy old designs, but to internalize the principles that make them timeless. They analyze the subtle curve of a vase's shoulder, the elegant taper of its base, the way its form implies a center of gravity. This ancient, tactile knowledge of form provides a crucial anchor of realism and beauty in a medium that can often feel sterile and artificial. The digital spaceship, the fantasy creature, the futuristic city, so often, the designs that resonate most deeply with us are those whose digital geometry is secretly guided by the ghost of a potter's hands. Perhaps the most direct and fascinating translation from ancient craft to digital medium is found in weaving. At its most basic, weaving is a binary system. It is the simple, repeated action of one thread going over or under another thread. Over, under, on, off, 1, 0. This structure makes weaving one of the oldest forms of digital art in human history. The intricate patterns of a Navajo rug or a Persian carpet are, in essence, algorithms encoded in wool and silk. Each pattern is a set of rules, a visual program passed down through generations. It's no coincidence that the Jacquard loom, which used punch cards to dictate complex patterns in the early 1800s, is considered a direct ancestor of the modern computer. Today, this connection is more explicit than ever. Generative artists, who use code to create visual art, are essentially digital weavers. They write algorithms that set rules for color, shape, and repetition, and then let the computer execute those rules to generate complex, often surprising patterns. The final result, a stunning piece of generative art displayed on a high-resolution screen, shares a direct lineage with the meticulous, grid-based logic of an ancient textile. The medium has changed from thread to pixels, but the creative process of building a complex whole from a simple, repeated rule remains unchanged. It's a powerful reminder that our most advanced technology often just provides a new language to tell the same ancient stories of pattern, structure, and beauty. Having established that the soul of ancient crafts is alive and well within digital art, let's pivot. Let's look at the flip side of this incredible fusion, how modern technology is flowing back to the traditional artisans themselves. This is not a story of replacement, but of empowerment. The digital tool is not supplanting the chisel, the brush, or the potter's wheel. Instead, it's becoming the ultimate assistant, a powerful extension of the artist's own hands and imagination. It's a collaboration that allows craftspeople to push the boundaries of their physical mediums, to achieve levels of precision, complexity, and efficiency that were previously the stuff of dreams. Technology is serving tradition, helping artisans to not only perfect their craft, but to reinvent it for a new century. The workshop of today is beginning to look very different, with the warm glow of a monitor sitting comfortably alongside the earthy mess of a workbench. Consider the world of a modern ceramicist. For centuries, the creation of complex shapes in pottery was limited by the skill of the hand and the difficult, often frustrating process of mold making. Creating a multi-part, perfectly interlocking plaster mold for a complex form could take weeks and was a highly specialized skill in itself. A single mistake could ruin the entire piece. Now, enter the 3D printer. A ceramic artist can now design a vessel of breathtaking complexity on a computer, with intricate, interlocking parts or delicate lace-like filigree that would be physically impossible to sculpt or carve by hand. They can design a perfectly symmetrical, multifaceted geometric form, or an organic shape that mimics the structure of a coral reef. Once the design is perfected in the virtual space, they can 3D print a flawless, high-resolution mold in a matter of hours. This mold can then be used to cast the piece in liquid clay, or slip. The result is a physical ceramic object that possesses all the warmth and tactile beauty of handcrafted pottery, but with a level of precision and complexity born from a digital mind. The artist's skill is not diminished, it's redirected. Their mastery of form and design is now augmented by a tool that can execute their most ambitious visions with perfect fidelity, freeing them to focus on the crucial final stages of glazing and firing that give the piece its unique, handcrafted soul. This principle of digital planning extends across almost every medium. Think of a muralist or a large-scale oil painter. In the past, planning a massive, complex composition was a painstaking process of sketches, grids, and calculations, with very little room for error once paint was applied to the wall or canvas. Today, that same artist can use a tablet and a program like Adobe Fresco or Photoshop to create their entire masterpiece in a digital space first. They can experiment with hundreds of color palettes in seconds without wasting a single drop of expensive paint. They can move elements around, testing different compositions with the flick of a finger. They can layer complex scenes, painting a background behind a figure without worrying about ruining the work already done. This non-destructive process is a creative game changer. It encourages experimentation. Once the composition is finalized digitally, the artist can use a projector to cast the image directly onto their canvas or wall, providing a perfect guide for the physical painting process. The digital work becomes the blueprint, the scaffolding, upon which the traditional, tactile artwork is built. It streamlines the logistics, removes the fear of irreversible mistakes, and ultimately allows the artist to pour all their energy into what truly matters: the physical act of applying paint, the texture of the brushstrokes, and the subtle interplay of light and color that can only be achieved in the real world. Now, let's take it a step further into the realm of artificial intelligence. This is where the partnership between artisan and technology becomes truly futuristic. Textile design, for instance, is being revolutionized by AI. A weaver or fabric designer can now use machine learning models known as generative adversarial networks, or GANs. In simple terms, they can train an AI by feeding it a massive dataset, say thousands of images of historical Art Nouveau floral patterns. The AI learns the rules, style, and essence of those patterns. Then, the artist can ask the AI to generate entirely new patterns in that same style. The computer begins to produce a stream of unique, yet stylistically coherent designs, patterns that have never existed before but feel as if they could have been designed by a master of the era. The artist then acts as a curator, sifting through these infinite possibilities to find the ones that inspire the most. They can then take that AI-generated design and use it to program a digital loom, which will weave the physical fabric. This is a breathtaking collaboration. It combines the artist's historical knowledge and aesthetic judgment with the machine's boundless capacity for novel creation. It's a process that honors the past while simultaneously inventing a future, ensuring that the loom, one of humanity's oldest machines, continues to clack on, weaving threads of silk and silicon into the fabrics of tomorrow. We've seen how ancient principles fuel digital art and how digital tools empower traditional artisans. Now, let's cast our gaze forward to the horizon where these two paths are no longer parallel but are converging into a single, spectacular destination. What does the future of this fusion truly look like? We're moving beyond mere translation or assistance and into the realm of truly hybrid art forms, creations that could not exist without an equal partnership between the physical and the digital, the handcrafted and the algorithmically generated. This synergy is not just changing how art is made, it's fundamentally reshaping our definitions of what an artist is, how we preserve our cultural heritage, and how we experience creativity itself. We are on the cusp of a new renaissance, where the gallery and the virtual world become one and the same. The most exciting frontier is the emergence of interactive, hybrid installations. Imagine walking into a gallery and seeing a massive, hand-carved wooden sculpture. It's beautiful on its own, a testament to the carver's skill. But as you approach, you notice that the grain of the wood seems to subtly shimmer and flow with digital light projected onto its surface with pinpoint precision. This is projection mapping, a technique where video is perfectly aligned with the contours of a 3D object. Now, imagine that the sculpture is embedded with invisible touch sensors. When you lay your hand on the cool, polished wood, you don't just feel the texture, you trigger a change in the projection. The patterns of light might shift, or you might hear a soundscape that corresponds to the piece. In this moment, the ancient craft of sculpture has become an interface for a digital experience. The physical object provides the tactile reality, the weight, and the history, while the digital layer provides a dynamic, responsive, and personal interaction. This isn't a sculpture with a screen next to it, it's a single, unified entity. We will see this in textiles, with hand-woven tapestries using conductive thread to act as musical instruments, and in ceramics, where the temperature of a vessel could control the color and mood of a room's lighting. The possibilities are truly endless. Beyond the gallery, this fusion is revolutionizing how we connect with the past. Augmented and virtual reality are becoming powerful tools for both preservation and education. Consider the fragility of ancient artifacts. Museums can now use a technique called photogrammetry, where hundreds of high-resolution photos are stitched together by software to create a perfect, photorealistic 3D model of an object. This digital twin can then be preserved forever, safe from the ravages of time. But it gets better. Imagine putting on a VR headset and being transported not just to a museum, but to a digitally reconstructed workshop in ancient Athens. You could stand beside a master potter as their avatar demonstrates the lost technique of creating black figure pottery. You could pick up a virtual amphora, turn it in your hands, and examine its details in a way that would be impossible with the real object behind glass. Augmented reality, on the other hand, can bring this digital information into our physical world. You could point your phone at a Roman statue in a museum, and an AR overlay could appear, showing you how it would have originally been painted in vibrant colors or animating its story. This technology doesn't just preserve objects, it preserves and resurrects the knowledge, the context, and the human stories behind them, making our shared cultural heritage more accessible and engaging than ever before. This ongoing synthesis inevitably forces us to ask a profound question. What does it mean to be an artist or a craftsperson in the 21st century? The lines are blurring into irrelevance. Is the artist who writes code to generate intricate woven patterns any less of a weaver than the one who sits at a physical loom? Is the digital sculptor who spends hundreds of hours shaping virtual clay any less of a sculptor than one who works in marble? The answer is increasingly no. The definition of craftsmanship is expanding. It is no longer solely about manual dexterity, but about a broader creative vision that incorporates both physical and digital literacy. The artist of the future is a polymath, someone who is equally comfortable with a chisel and a coding language, with pigments and with pixels. This evolution doesn't devalue traditional skills. It places them in a new, more powerful context. The ability to understand physical materials, to feel the resistance of wood or the pliability of clay, becomes an invaluable asset that informs and enriches the artist's digital work, giving it a depth and authenticity that a purely digital native might struggle to achieve. This fusion is more than just a new trend. It represents a fundamental shift in our relationship with technology. For so long, the narrative has been about technology making old ways obsolete. But what we're witnessing is a more mature, more symbiotic relationship. We are realizing that technology is at its best not when it replaces human skill, but when it amplifies it. By bridging the wisdom of ancient crafts with the limitless potential of digital tools, we are not only creating breathtaking new art, we are ensuring that these vital threads of our cultural history are not cut, but are instead woven into the very fabric of our future. The echo of the past is becoming the voice of tomorrow.